it's Kiyoshi and I'm back for another Vlogtober video. I hope you guys are enjoying my videos. If you do, please give them a thumbs up. Make sure you guys are subscribing and make sure you're commenting down below because I love to read you guys' comments. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's video. Alright, so as you can tell for the title of today's video, I am prepping for the new year and I wanted to share some of the tips and tricks that I like to do in order to get ready for the new year without feeling so overwhelmed. Getting ready for a new year and realizing that the year you're in is ending and it feels like it flew by so fast and you might have didn't reach all your goals or things, you still have stuff on your to-do list that you haven't gotten to, or your bucket list, or I wish I could have done. That is perfectly fine to have things that are undone or your goals that haven't been met. That's just a part of reality, and a lot of people stress about it as it comes up to the new year. So I want to give you guys some of my tips and tricks, like how not to be overwhelmed or stressed out with a new year when it comes to actually setting goals and reflecting on the old year, because you know we want the holidays to be fun and stress-free, and a lot of people do have fun and stress-free when it comes to the holidays, but then when the holidays are over, like the day after, couple days after Thanksgiving or a couple days after Christmas, and it's coming up to New Year's, a lot of people start rushing to do everything that they didn't get to do in the year and try to prepare for the new year, and we got to do this and we got to do this, and oh my god, the new year's coming and I have nothing done. So in order to fight that overwhelming feeling or that stressful feeling, I like to get prepared early, because I used to be that person. I used to just I was like, oh, I'm not gonna worry or stress about anything during the holidays, but then as the year comes closer and closer to an end, I would just get so much anxiety about everything I didn't get done, what I need to plan for the new year, what's coming up in the new year, things that I have to think about and all that kind of stuff. And so I kind of came up with a plan for me to kind of combat some of that stress and feeling of being overwhelmed. So I'm just going to share my tips with you guys, and I hope it can help you not be so overwhelmed or stressed out when it comes to the new year as well. So my first tip is to start early. I would say not too early. Of course, don't start planning for the new year in January, but start early. Like September, October is the great and the most perfect time to start thinking about the new year. And the reason being is because you are pretty much 9 or 10 months into the year, and at this point all the goals that you set, everything you set on your to-do list for the year or your bucket list for the year, you can pretty much say whether they're going to get done or not. At this point you can review that list, you can review those goals, and you can say, hey, in these next 3 to 4 months I can definitely get these goals done, or this on my bucket list done, or this done. But there's other things that you know it's just not enough time, not enough money, and all of that, or not enough planning to get those things done. And when you look at that list and you kind of review it at earlier on before the new year start, you can actually go and say, hey, I wasn't able to get this done this year, but maybe I can get it done next year. Maybe this will be at the top of my to-do list. And starting early gives you the benefit of, like I said, not being stressed out, not being overwhelmed when the end of the year is coming and you're reviewing all of your goals, because you already started reviewing them and you're already kind of satisfied, or I wouldn't say complacent, but like you feel better about the goals that you didn't meet, because it's not a surprise. Because a lot of people make goals at the beginning of the year, but they actually don't look at those goals as the year goes on and on. They actually don't look at them. They look at them and they make them at the beginning of the year, and then at the end of the year they look at them again and say whether they did or they didn't do it. And so it makes you kind of feel better that if you look at it before the end of the year, you can be like, oh, I looked at it before the end of the year and I actually got a lot of things done, but there's some things that I didn't get done, and you'll be able to come to terms with those disappointing feelings, or feelings of, oh my gosh, I let my goals and my to-do list and my bucket list get away from me. But it also is gratification on all the things that you actually did get done. And say you have 5 things on your bucket list and you got 3 done, that's more than half. So you'd be like, oh, I got more than half done. I may have not gotten all of them done, but more than half is something that makes me feel complacent, and that's something that I can be proud of, instead of coming up to the end of the year and you're like, oh my gosh, I could have got those last 2 things done if I knew they were on my bucket list and I didn't realize they were. Because like I said, a lot of people forget about what's on their bucket list. They forget about their goals. That's a whole nother story, a whole nother subject, but you should be checking into your goals at least once a quarter. But like I said, it's on a whole nother subject. And when the new year comes in, I'll kind of talk to you guys about how I review my goals and stuff. But for right now, just worry about looking at your goals if you haven't looked at them since January or whenever the last time you looked at them or wrote them down or made them, and kind of start early with that review process, that reflection process when it comes to, you know, your goals, your bucket list, what you wanted to do, things you wanted to achieve, places you wanted to go, and things you wanted to do. So yes, that's my first thing, is just start early reviewing and reflecting. So this moves me on to my second tip, which is to reflect on the past year, which is what I just briefly talked about it. So at this point in time, like I said, September, October towards this time of the year, pull out everything that you wanted to do for the year. So if you wrote it down in a notebook, if you have a Notion, if you have an iPad, a spreadsheet, whatever it is, pull out all of those goals, all of those to-do lists, all those bucket lists, those types of things, and start checking off the things that you actually got done. A lot of people are, you know, set it and forget it type of people. Like, I set my goals in January and I forget about them all the way into the next year when I'm trying to do my new goals, and I try to reflect on the new year in January, and then I realize I didn't do anything I wanted to do in the last year, and so I'm going to try to get them to fit in the new year. And that's not something that is a healthy habit. I find that a lot of people don't finish their goals in January or get kind of depressed in January, because I was this person, because you pull out those goals from last year, realize that you didn't even pay attention to any of them or do half of the stuff on your bucket list. And at the beginning of the year, that's not the kind of energy that you want to bring into the new year, of things that you didn't do or so-called failures as you would see it. Some people think it's a failure, but if you don't get stuff done, you know, you just didn't get done. Life be lifing, stuff be happening. I was there. I used to make these goals and get so upset at the beginning of January, and I would literally just take all of January off to just moan and groan about all the things I didn't get done and all the things I wanted to do. And I realized that's not very productive. That's not going to help me in the future to get my goals together. So what I had to do is reflect on the previous year. And the first thing I did when I started this process is to say, hey, maybe I don't need to be doing this in January. Maybe I need to be reflecting on the previous year towards the end of the last year. Well, the year we're in. I know that's a little confused. I'm confusing myself. So instead of doing it in January of the new year, I do it in the last quarter of the year that's about to go out. That's how I want to say it. And so I will look at them. And so whatever kind of feelings of disappointment in myself or disappointment in whomever or whatever, I kind of do that now. And I kind of get into myself and I reflect and I kind of come to terms, like I said, with my feelings, because you're going to feel the way you're going to feel. I'm not saying that you don't have to feel down or depressed or upset about you not reaching your goals, but if you do it now and not necessarily get over it, but get over it, you will start seeing the more bright side as the year comes up. You'll be more excited about the set goals. You'll be more aware, more in tune with, you know, your feelings and what you want to do in the future. And this is kind of what I did to help me understand that I need to do this now so that I don't feel the way I don't want to feel in January. I know in January I don't want to be depressed. Don't want to be down. It's already going to be winter months. Everybody's going to be in the house. I'm going to be alone. I'm going to be eating chocolate candy and feeling all some type of way because I didn't reach my goals. If I do all that now in September and October, then the family will be around on Thanksgiving. The family will be around in Christmas, and that will help lift me out of that mood. And by the time January comes, I'm not going to have those feelings because I've already reflected on the previous year, already reflected on the things that I was able to achieve that brought me joy, that made me so happy, spending time with friends and families and all the things I got to do. And then I've already reflected on the things that I was not able to do, and I've come to terms that I wasn't able to do with them. I feel the way that I felt, and then I got over it. I don't want to use that because I don't really like that term, but I don't know how to say it. But I got over it and I've come to terms with it, and now I can move on into the new year with a more positive mind and attitude. So that brings me into my next tip, which is to declutter. Now, declutter is not just a physical thing. Declutter is decluttering your space, your mind, your body, and your soul. So what that means is if you're feeling weighed down and just stressed out, then you might need to do a little cleanse. And it's not always a physical cleanse. It could be a mental cleanse. Like I said, mental physical, whatever. You can touch it. Like you guys know, I have literally been decluttering my house for the last couple of months. I'm getting rid of any and everything that does not bring me joy, that weighs me down and makes me feel a certain type of way. I got rid of clothes that I didn't like, clothes that didn't fit, that made me feel like, you know, I'm not the ideal size that I want to be. So why should I look at these two little clothes in this closet, depressing and bringing me down? We're going to get rid of them. In my kitchen, I got tired of cleaning it up and doing all this, and the kids didn't want to help. So guess what? We decluttered everything in the kitchen. We're going to have less dishes and stuff to wash and things to put away, and it's going to be easier to clean. In my office, you guys saw I decluttered my office closet. That closet was a hot mess. There was stuff in there that didn't even make no sense, that should have never ever could have would have been in there, and I got rid of it. I've also been doing, in the month of September, kind of a mental declutter. In the month of September, if you watching my vlogs, you saw I kind of like isolated myself, kind of was doing some alone time in September. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't do anything. I didn't really hang out with anybody. I just wanted to spend time alone with myself and cleanse my mind of all the negativity, all of the unwanted stress from other people. Because you know, when people have problems, they bring you their problems, they kind of leave a residual effect with you. With their problems, you kind of think about, you know, oh my gosh, she's going through this and it's stressing you out. Now you stressed out, she's stressed out, everybody's stressed out. And there's at a point you have to let all of that go, because there's really nothing you can do about it. And so I like to do like a mental cleanse. So whenever I kind of isolate myself or go into myself or stay home and don't be as social, is because I've been socialed out. I need a cleanse. I need to, you know, get it all off of me, get everything away, negative, whatever you call it, whatever you want to do, sage it, whatever. I just like to be alone, watch my movies, kind of chill out, listen to music or whatever, and kind of do a mental declutter. This is also a digital clutter. Get rid of all of the stuff on your computer, old photos, old pictures, old, you know, essays from 20 years ago when you was in college. Like I did all of that, and so I decided to declutter that as well. So you know, declutter is not just a physical thing that you can see and touch. It's also a mental, a spiritual thing. If you believe in God like I do, spend time with God, pray for, you know, peace and serenity and everything that you're looking for to kind of get that spiritual cleanse and that peace of mind and that just like zen feeling. Because you know, going to work every day, having kids, spouses, or whatever the case may be, significant others, can be very stressful. And sometimes you just need that good alone time, that good time to kind of de-stress. And when I say declutter, you may need to declutter friends. You may need to declutter your job. Is your job stressing you out? Is it really not the place for you? Do you need to be looking for a new job? Do you need to be looking for a new home, a new place to live? I mean, there's a lot. My friend, she inspired me so much. Like a couple of years ago, she found out her husband had cancer and he ended up passing away, and she was unhappy at work. We used to talk about it all the time. She hated where we worked. She hated our, you know, managers and co-workers and stuff, and she just did not enjoy. Baby, she made me so proud. She called me one day and said, Kiosha, I put in my 2-week notice and I sold my house and I am moving to Dallas. And when I talk to her now, she's like, this is the best thing that I've ever done in all of my life. And she was like, I have no regrets. I love it. She recently told me she's going back to school. Like, these are the things that you need to think about. You know, if you're feeling like overwhelmed and stressful and you don't understand why, you don't understand what's going on, you might need to take a little bit of solitude time to kind of figure out what is wrong. I have been there where I'm just going through life and I'm like, something ain't right. I don't feel right. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to do anything. I hate everybody at work. I'm just so frustrated. I'm this, that, and the other. And what I needed to do was sit down and take time for me and kind of focus on what is it in my life that is not where I want it to be, that's making me feel this way. What I come to find out is when I start feeling that way, there's something I'm missing, or something I'm overlooking, or something I'm not doing for myself, or I'm not taking care of myself, or I'm not doing enough for myself. And then my body starts to reject and my mind starts to say this, and I start to feel a certain way. And then that's when I know, okay, Kiosha, you need to slow down, pump your brakes, and back it up and figure out what you need in order to get back into that place of peace and serenity. So that, do some decluttering. Wherever you need to do it, declutter, child. Okay, you guys, so moving on to my next thing. After you've done all of your starting early, you're reflecting on the past year, all of your decluttering that you need to do. The next thing you need to do is now you need to start making a list. Making a list of things that you want to do in the upcoming year. This can be a rough draft. This doesn't have to be permanent. Remember, we're starting early. There's nothing set in stone. Even when the new year starts, it still ain't set in stone. If you make a goal today and you decide later that was a stupid goal, I don't want to do it no more, baby, cross it off your list. It's your list. You can do whatever you want to do with it. You're not stuck with anything that you write down. So that's why I call this a rough draft, a work in progress. And you can have all kind of different lists. I know people who make lists for like things I want to do in my life, things I want to do when it comes to my health, things I want to do when it comes to travel, things that I want to do when it comes to my kids, my significant other, when I want to do self-care. It can be any kind of list that you want it to be. I just want to say, when you're making lists, be as exhaustive as you want to be, but also be as realistic as you need to be. You don't want to make goals that you don't ever or can't ever achieve. You just need to make smart goals, goals that you have to, put a time frame on, that are achievable, they're manageable, they're trackable, things that you can actually see the progress and break down into even smaller tasks and goals in order to achieve that big goal. So for instance, if your big goal for the year is to travel to Paris, and you want to travel to Paris, I don't know, say in October, and now it's October of the previous year. Now you have a year to set up tasks in order to make sure you make it to the Paris in October of 2024. So the first task is to list, okay, what do you want to do in Paris? You need accommodations, you need flights, you might need to get on a train or a bus or a boat. What places do you want to see in Paris? Like, what kind of research? You need to start setting up a budget and all that kind of stuff. And so when you do that early on at this point, or make that as your list, these are things that are coming to mind, so you can start setting alerts on apps to say, hey, let me know when we have really good flights to Paris in October. Let me know when hotels are on sale in Paris in October, and I can book it early. Oh, I can go ahead and get my tickets for whatever attractions that are super popular that I may need to book now because they may be, sold out when that time comes. It's all kind of things. I'm just using that as an example because a lot of people love to travel. I love to travel, so I love to do my travel ahead of time so I'll know how much money I need to save and where I'm trying to go. But if you like to, road trip, or if you like to fix on your house, or take weeks off to hang out with your kids or your mom, or whatever the case may be, or your bucket list is to go to all the national parks, it doesn't matter what it is. You just need to write it down, kind of rough draft, all the research and things that you need to do in order to achieve these goals in 2024. It's, like I said, a rough draft. You can tweak it, take things away, change your mind, update it all throughout these last couple of months in the year. And if you want to finalize it in January, you can finalize it in January. And then you can move on to actually putting a plan in place in January, and you have how many ever months it is that it takes you to do it. I like to have everything a year ahead. I'm still not there, but I'm trying to get closer and closer to being a year ahead in everything that I want to do. So I like to write things down early so that I can start saving now, start researching now, start getting all of my things together now, because like I said, it's a lot less stressful when the new year comes in. So just get your little rough draft of your goals or list that you like to make for the new year, and let's get started. Okay, so this moves me on to the next tip, which is to make a schedule or some type of routine. I know a lot of people people talk about their morning routine, their evening routine, and they're not very realistic, or they're very my ideal, but this is not something that I can do on a daily basis. For me, I don't make routines that I can't do on a daily basis. If it's something that I can't follow every day, and it's so complicated and it's so many steps and it's this and that and the other, I'm not making that type of routine. I'm not going to say I'm getting up at 5 every day and I'm going to brush my teeth, wash my face, take a shower, put on my makeup, get dressed, cook breakfast, get Jalen breakfast, get her to the bus stop, go to work, do all the work I can do, then get off, spend time with my friends, and then come home and cook dinner. That is ridiculous. Nobody can do all that stuff in one day. So when you're creating a routine or a schedule, then you need to make sure it's realistic, okay? Make sure it's not the fantasy of what you would like to do every day. It needs to be the reality of what you can do every day. So for instance, I do want to get up at 5 some mornings. Not every morning, but at least 3 days a week. I think I can manage to get up at 5 o'clock, get some little extra stuff I want to get done around the house that I couldn't do, or maybe answer comments, or do a self-care, or do a long shower routine, or a long skincare routine in the morning, or just get up early to spend time with myself and read a book and chill out and, listen to music, or whatever the case may be. I would never say that I'm going to get up every single day at 5 o'clock. The reason being is because that's just too early. I need my beauty rest, and I'm not trying to get up at 5 o'clock every morning. I'm never going to make a routine that says I'm going to get up every morning and go exercise for 2 hours. This is something that I actually used to do in the past before some other things happened, and I was doing it every day. I used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, y'all. I used to go to the gym and I used to run on the treadmill. That is no longer who I am. Me is not she, and she is not me any longer, and I have to just come to terms with that. But if I ever wanted to incorporate exercise back into my life, I would have to be realistic about how I can incorporate it. It definitely ain't finna be at no 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm just gonna tell y'all now. Y'all ain't gonna see me up at no 4 o'clock talking about just walking on a treadmill. I'm just not finna do it. It's not realistic. It's not something I'm gonna be able to sustain and continue to do on and on and on. So there's no reason for me to make those types of goals and then be upset when I don't meet them because they weren't realistic in the first place. So remember, when you're creating these routines and these schedules, make them realistic. Make it something that you can actually do and achieve. And start small. So if you want to make a routine and it's only 3 things: get up in the morning, brush my teeth, and wash my face. If that's all you can muster in the morning as a routine, hey, you're doing better than most people. Some people get up in the morning, they don't even brush their teeth while they play. They just be head on out the house and go on about their business. So you ahead of the game. So I'm not trying to say that to be funny, but people who deal with depression, they may not get up out of the bed in the morning, brush their teeth, wash their face, or kind of do their appearance, because it's just something that takes a lot of effort. So just remember where you are in your life, in your situation, in your mindset, or whatever's going on in your life. Make goals that reflect what's going on in your life. Stop looking at other people's ideal morning routines and what they do every morning, feeling bad because you don't do all 2,900 things before 6 o'clock. Baby, them folks is extra and special, okay? They can do that, and I bet you they don't do it every day. The internet is not real. I tell you guys all the time, don't be looking at believing everything on the internet. You already know how they go. So I would just make something that's super realistic for you, but I do suggest making some kind of routine, some kind of habits that will, advance you in some of the goals that you have for yourself in the upcoming year. And you can start those routines now. Like I said, say, for instance, you do want to get up 3 days a week at 5 a.m., but right now that's not doable for you. You can say, okay, starting this month, I want to get up 1 time a week at 5 o'clock, and then November I'll do 2 times a week at 5 o'clock, and then December I'll do 3 times a week at 5 o'clock, and then by January you have already doing your 3 days in the morning at 5 o'clock, and you've worked gradually your way up to that routine. So you can create a routine and start incorporating pieces of that routine as the months get closer to the new year, and hopefully by the new year you'll be able to hit that goal because you worked your way up and you didn't just dive in and then you're disappointed when it didn't work out the way you wanted to. So just think about that when you're creating these schedules, these routines, and these goals. And my last tip, of course, you guys should not be surprised, is budgeting. Budgeting. I'm all about budgeting my money and saving money and just being very wise with the money that I have. Budgeting and making plans for your money is something that's very taboo, something that people always put on their goal for the beginning of the year, and it's something everybody wants to do, and it's something that most of the time everybody fails at because they just are not realistic. A lot of the things that I'm telling you guys is about being realistic, recognizing who you are, what you're capable of doing, and stop trying to compare yourself to other people. A lot of time we're making goals is because we saw somebody else do it, or we thought somebody did this, or oh, that looks fun, and this, that, and the other. And I do that too, but I also look at it and be like, girl, you ain't never finna do that. You ain't finna never be saving no $10,000 in no 1 year. You might get 5, but I don't think you're gonna get 10. And that's not selling myself short, okay? That's not saying that I can never save $10,000 in a year, but I know that I like to do a lot of things. I like to get whatever I want to get. I like to travel where I want to travel. And me saving $10,000, I probably could, but I'm going to spend it on travel. I'm going to spend it on that. I'm going to spend it on this. I'm going to take care of my kids. We're going to go places. We're going to do things. I'm going to go out to eat. I'm going to hang out. All that type of things. I'm not saying that I can't do it. So never think that when I say I'm not going to do something, it's negativity towards me that's saying like, oh, you're limiting yourself. You're putting a ceiling on yourself because you're saying you can never save $10,000. I saved $10,000. I don't pay cash for a car. Like, I know I can do it. But if that's not one of my goals for the new year, I'm not going to make that goal. I'm not going to say I'm going to save $10,000, because me saving $10,000 puts a lot of restriction on things that I can do. And I don't want to be restricted in my life. I've been restricted enough. I've saved money. I've spent money. I've done things. So that's not something that I would want to give for myself. That year that I wanted to pay off my car, I paid off my car one year, and then it got totaled, and I had to buy a new car, and I paid cash for that one. But the one that I actually totaled that year, I had paid off $17,000 in 7 months. And it's possible, and it's doable, and I could have saved that, and it could have been in my savings account. But you know what I had to do that? I literally had to go to work every evening. I hardly went out with my friends. I didn't go anywhere. All I did was work, and pay that car off and get it paid off, because that's something that I knew that I had to do. But I know now I don't have to do that. I know now my finances are pretty much very stable. Could I save more money? Yes. Could I make more money? Yes. But I am happy and content where I am. And so the goals that I make are in the season of my life that I am in. And when I get to the season where I want to save $10,000, then I will save $10,000. But that's not something that I want to do. So just think about your budget. Think about the season you're in financially, spiritually, emotionally, travel-wise, friend-wise, things that you want to do, what makes you happy. And what does it take to make you happy? Because the things that make me happy, like traveling and going out with my friends, it costs money, okay? So those two go hand in hand. Money and happiness sometimes, because it's hand in hand. I want to go out to eat, and I want to do all these things. And while I'm still saving and I'm still budgeting, I'm also doing things that I love. So when you start a budget, start simple. Look at the places where you are kind of need some improvement, and just make small minor improvements now, so that when the new year comes, you'll be used to having a budget, used to saving money, used to doing this or that, or all the goals you're setting. And you'll notice that I'm not being very specific about any of these tips, because it's very dependent on the person. It's very individually driven. So I don't want to over tell you what you need to exactly do, because that is not the purpose of this video. The purpose of the video is to tell you what could help you not be as stressed and overwhelmed when the new year comes. And budgeting is usually something that people stress about in the new year, because they've overspent at Thanksgiving, they've overspent at Christmas, they've overspent at New Year's, they went on trips, or they bought extravagant gifts and these types of things. And so if you start looking at your budget now and start staying within the budget for the holidays and the Christmas and all that kind of stuff, it'll kind of ease that anxiety or the feeling of being overwhelmed in the new year, when your budget is most likely trashed. Because I've definitely been that person who spent all the money, and then when New Year come, I'm paying credit card bills, and I'm paying for stuff that can happen at Christmas and Thanksgiving, and we all in the new year. We've all been there, done that, but that doesn't always have to be. And you can work yourself towards not being that person who needs to make up for last year and this year when it comes to your money. The things that I look at when it comes to budgeting for the future or towards the new year, and those are the things that I look at now and kind of make a budget for, and kind of get in my head what I need to be saving for when it comes to 2024. Okay, you guys, so that's everything that I had to tell you guys about how I prepare for the new year coming ahead. All the tips and tricks that I can give you guys. Once again, I said none of this stuff is specific, because it's very much individually driven. I want you to think about your life and things that you like to do and what you want to have happen in your life, and make realistic decisions based on where you are and what season you're in. And that's very important to reach your goals or do any of the things that you want to do in the upcoming year. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any more videos from me. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.